Oh, welcome, y'all. It's your man, God of Dots, man. We are back. Feels good on a Tuesday, going up on a Tuesday. Hope everybody had a very good weekend. I know I did, and brother decided to take a couple of days off. Just kind of, enjoy the PTO time, the real vacation time that I have saved up. So, it's getting to be about that time. Um, tonight's focus will be primarily NBA. I may not do a show Thursday. I really just want to lock in. NBA finals do start on Thursday, so I might just take some time off that day to focus in on game one of the finals. But we'll do our finals preview tonight, and I think I got enough material. To kind of do a Freestyle Friday show on Friday. So stay tuned for that. As always, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave comments, blah, 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 blah. How you doing, Dr. Nikki? Miss Smurf, Gator Girl, Miss Murph. Side note, just give the order. And he's on the menu. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But yeah, we'll be starting to ramp up NFL news for my NFL fans. We'll start ramping up NFL news coming up soon. Training camps are about to start. I know they have voluntary OTAs right now, but training camps start. I want to say in a couple weeks. So we'll be diving head first into that. With a little bit NFL news, kind of get this out of the way. Justin Jefferson, largest contract by a wide receiver. Christian McCaffrey just today got signed to a massive extension for the running back. Look, man, we've talked about this in the past on previous shows about how the running back position has been devalued by the NFL, but Christian McCaffrey seems to be the outlier, and it's hard to argue against it because how much impact he has on the 49ers offense, not just from the running perspective, but also catching the ball out of the backfield. So, for those who are not aware, Justin Jefferson, 4 years, 100. I want to say it was 140 with 110 guaranteed, which is big. I don't look at the actual signing number. I look at what's guaranteed, meaning what's going to get into your pocket. Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. You can also still make the argument for Tyreek Hill. But yeah, Justin Jefferson got paid. Christian McCaffrey now making, the new extension will be making 19 mil at average with guaranteed money. So congratulations to him on that. Also, before we kind of get into the NBA final stuff, Los Angeles Lakers are zeroing in on JJ Redick to be the new head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Let me say this as a Lakers fan. I'm not too excited about this. Not too excited about this. I've also heard rumors that JJ Redick will be announced as the head coach. Sam Cassell they're looking to bring him on board as an assistant coach. Here's my issue with JJ Redick. I don't mind JJ Redick if you had kind of worked your way into the system and you were walking into a real gifted situation, much like Steve Kerr was. But JJ Redick has not been part of any NBA organization outside of playing. He's not been part of player personnel. He hasn't had an assistant GM role. He hasn't cut his teeth as an assistant coach on nobody's staff, whereas Sam Cassell has done that in his time since retiring from the game. JJ Redick is an analyst. And I don't see, this is my Lakers, man. And y'all, I'm a fan of LeBron, but I'm a fan of LeBron, the player. I'm not a fan of LeBron, the GM. And this has the makings of LeBron making this call. If you, not, in a low key way, if you want me back in LA, JJ Redick's got to be the head coach. I just find it very ironic that the new head coach, possibly of the LA Lakers, if you believe the reports, JJ Redick has a show with LeBron James. How weird is that? And this has been in the works for a while, so it's not like shocking news to anybody who's been following this story. How do you have a show with your potential head coach and think it's not a conflict of interest, in my opinion. But and these NBA owners would do what they do, and the thing about the NBA, which separates the NBA from any other sport, with maybe the exception of baseball, the players have the power. In the NBA, you would never, and I mean never. Yeah, that's my get it, girl. I like LeBron, the player. Cannot stand him as the GM. Cannot stand him as the GM. But this is the world which he and other superstar players have created in the NBA, where when you are a tier one player, when we're talking tier one, we're talking about the KDs, we're talking about the LeBrons, we're talking about Steph Curry, guys who move the needle for a NBA franchise, not just good players, great players. When you fall into that echelon on that category of a tier one, um, you get to kind of dictate the terms and conditions of what goes on with the organization around you. And you know, I'm not mad because NBA players have, it took them a while to get to this level to where they have this amount of power as far as deciding who they want to play with and where they want to play and all of that. Um, but I mean, come on, man. Like, how can you, with a straight face, justify JJ Redick being named head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers? Not the Detroit Pistons, not the Toronto Raptors, or a team that is, clearly on a decline in a clear rebuild mode. How do you pick a guy who has never coached on the collegiate level, has never coached on the professional level, has never been a part of any decision making process when it comes to, I mean, say what you want to say about Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham was an elite assistant coach on a championship winning team. I mean, Jesus. But anyway, enough of me ranting about the Lakers, hiring JJ Redick. Let's move on to the real topic of today's show. NBA Finals are locked in, set in. Like I said, Thursday tip off. Brother of a certain age, what's going on? The final start on Thursday. Like I said, I may not be doing the show on Thursday. I really just want to kind of lock in since this is the last series of the season. I just want to kind of enjoy the game. Like I said, if you coming in late or catching us on a replay, we'll be doing the show on Friday, Freestyle Friday show. Make sure y'all tune in for that one. Very interesting conversation in regards to the WNBA. I'm getting a lot of reports. If you've been following sports, you know what I'm talking about. But it's we're gonna talk about it from different angles and stuff like that. But anyway, NBA final start on Thursday. Yeah, the number one seed, Boston Celtics, number one overall seed, best record in the NBA, coming in without. We'll talk about their path to the championship. I'm not going to tear them down just yet. Going off against fifth seed from the Western Conference, the Dallas Mavericks. This has the makings to be real good, and let's talk about it from TV viewership. I think this series here, with Dallas Mavericks getting in against the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics, storied franchise, always kind of moves the needle. But I think this series has the potential to be very good ratings wise because the magic, I would say this, the magic and star power of a Luka Doncic. Luka has always been a very solid playoff performer, but has never really had the roster around him to make such a deep run in the NBA playoffs. Here he is, 25 years old. I wouldn't say Luka is going to be the face of the NBA if he wins the championship. I'm not going to go that far just because he is a foreign player. I think he has a lot of qualities you like in a face of a player, but face of the NBA. But I don't think that's it. But I think the rate is going to be very good because Luka Doncic is must see TV. I think from a stylistic point, when you look at both of these rosters and how they kind of match up and how they play the game, you got a very it could go either way. I can make an argument for Boston, which I'll try to do. I'll make an argument for Dallas, which I'll try to do. And at the end of the show, I'll give you my pick for NBA champion. Let's kind of start off with the Boston Celtics, who have reportedly it's been reported that Game 1, Kristaps Porzingis will be back in the active lineup. Will he be starting? I'm not sure. He is coming back from a calf injury. I'm not sure if you're going to be looking for him to start. He had by the time they tip off on Thursday, it will be 9 days since the Boston Celtics played. I think that can be kind of you worry about a team having too much rest, especially this time of year, having to wait this long for NBA Finals or any playoff series to start after having that long of a layoff. So you also, with the Boston Celtics, you worry about them kind of being rusty, starting out a little bit slow, perhaps in game one, and taking them a while to kind of get back into their rhythm. Whereas Dallas has had a shorter layoff, but they've had a layoff nonetheless. But back to Boston, have if you look at it position by position, overall they have the better roster than the Dallas Mavericks. Overall, when they're clicking, a much more efficient offensive team. I'm not going to say much more explosive, because when you look at the best scorers that will be on the court in this series, you got Luka and Kyrie, who can each go for 40 or 50 on any given night. Whereas um, I haven't seen Tatum have those monster games, especially during this particular playoff run. Jaylen Brown has been very good, very solid. I've been talking about it. Jaylen Brown is my um, key factor for the Boston Celtics, is there to get over the top. But I think for Boston to kind of win this series, I think Boston is going to have to be patient and really attack this Dallas defense with a lot of penetration and dependent on the penetration to set up open shooters. The wild thing about when you look at Boston when they're at full strength, and it looks like they'll be full strength for this playoff series unless we have a setback with Porzingis, they're able to essentially have 5 shooters on the floor when you account for Horford, when you account for Porzingis. So that causes the floor to be spaced out more. It allows Jason Tatum, it allows Jaylen Brown to attack the basket a lot more. So that opens that up, and it allows if Dallas collapses down on defense to try to stop the penetration, that allows those shooters, and they those are very good shooters they have out there, to really put pressure on this Dallas defense. I don't think Dallas and the defense has been phenomenal. Um, the Mavs defense has been phenomenal this playoff run, but Boston offers a different kind of challenge because their bigs know their roles, their bigs know their position, and their bigs play like Dallas bigs, but more talented. When I'm talking about PJ Washington, I'm talking about Gafford. Boston, when we're talking about Horford and Porzingis, those guys, hey, we can go to the post if need be, but that is not our game. We're more of screeners. We're more of the pick and pop. We're more of setting up in the corners, top of the key, to get the open looks off the drive and penetration off of Tatum and Brown. I think for me, if I'm looking at one player in particular, if I'm looking at one player in particular for Boston to see how he kind of plays and what impact he has on this series, I'm looking at Drew Holiday. I think Drew Holiday is going to draw the primary defensive assignment, whether it be Luka or Kyrie. I think that's going to depend on who has it going that particular night. Drew Holiday is capable of guarding both of them. One, because he has the size and the lateral quickness, not necessarily stop him, but he is one of the best, if not the best, defensive guard in the NBA. So I think he's going to be for me a very key factor in this season. I think his defense is going to be monumentally important to what Boston wants to do defensively on their end of the court. But I also think Drew Holiday has got to be a scorer. And when I mean scorer, I don't think I need Drew to score 20 a game, but I think I need Drew to give me 10 to 12 a night. That way it keeps whoever's guarding him honest, and you have to guard him on the offensive end. He's no slouch on the offensive end. I think, by him, D'ing, let's say he's D'ing up Kyrie, if that's the rotation, the defensive rotation they have on the other side, he's going to have to account for Drew Holiday. He's not a former All-Star for nothing. Granted, Kyrie has been better defensively, especially this season. That's a lot of energy to be expended on a guy who is, Drew can go get you 25 on any given night. So I'm looking at Drew Holiday as kind of like my X factor player for the Boston Celtics. I think how well he goes, they go. I'm not really. I think Tatum and Brown kind of cancel out Luka and Kyrie. Not necessarily to say that they're better, but I think they kind of cancel them out with the impact that they have on the game. I think this is a series you're going to be really looking at the others. And I think for Boston, for me, Drew Holiday is the X factor for Boston if they're going to bring home the title to Beantown. I think you got to look at Drew Holiday. How well does he play? If he struggles, I think if he struggles offensively and defensively, it could be a long series. Could be a long series for Boston. I think Tatum, he's going to be feeling the pressure to play a lot better than he did in his last appearance in the NBA Finals, where clearly Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown for me is I'm good with him. I don't have any issues or concerns. Jason Tatum. We've talked a lot about the face of the NBA, how they wanted to crown Jason Tatum for a while. The Boston Celtics have had a lot of playoff success that has not amounted to a championship in the last couple of years. You got to, I think, if I'm Jason Tatum, don't put too much pressure on yourself to try to come out and score 30, 35 a night. I think for you to be successful, do what you kind of have done through the playoffs so far. Pick your spots. Try to be as consistent with it, because I don't want him to try to feel like he's got to compete, because Luka is going to put up Luka numbers. I don't want Jason Tatum to fall into that trap of trying to match Luka bucket for bucket, because that's not leading to a lot of team success for Boston. So Jason Tatum, play within yourself, play like you've been playing. I think you'll just be fine. But like I said, the X factor for me for Boston, Drew Holiday. Now, when we look at the other Gator girl, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Now, when we look to the other side of the coin, we're talking about the Dallas Mavericks. You got Luka, you got Kyrie. Luka, for me, the most talented player right now. And it's hard to argue that, considering the season that he's had, the playoff run that he has had, how consistently strong he is in the playoffs. And now he has a running mate in Kyrie who has been here before, knows what it's like to play in the NBA Finals, knows what it's like to be a very key contributor in a championship team. And I don't enough can't be said about it. I think for me, this is Kyrie's best season. And that's kind of scary when you think about it, considering the past success that he's had in the NBA. For me, I think this has been Kyrie's best season. This has been Kyrie's best season. I look at the Luka and Kyrie dynamic. I think for them to be successful in this series, we talked about the others, whereas Boston, their others happen to be former All-Star players. I think with them, Luka and Kyrie are going to have to make a concerted effort in probably like the first or second quarter of these games to really kind of get some of the others into rhythms. And the X factor for the Dallas Mavericks for me is PJ Washington. PJ Washington, a very key contributor, very big factor in their playoff run thus far, very big in the Minnesota Timberwolves series as far as stretching out the floor, forcing Minnesota to kind of get out of their defensive Roman patterns and exposing Rudy Gobert. That's a story for another day. We've already talked about that. But I look at PJ Washington as the X factor for the Dallas Mavericks. I think if he's able to go out there to consistently give you 15 to 20 a night, Dallas has a very good chance to take this series. I'm not concerned about Luka. Luka can get his shot when he wants to, regardless of who's defending him. Kyrie can get his shot anytime he wants to. But I look at PJ Washington as being that number 3 for them. Now, is he going to have the same impact offensively that he had in the Minnesota series? Because Minnesota's bigs are not like Boston's bigs. Boston's bigs can move their feet a little bit. When we're talking about Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, is PJ Washington going to be able to drag those bigs out, really take advantage of his maybe advantage on quickness to have an impact on the game? But I look at PJ Washington as my expert. I think for Dallas to to be successful in this series. I think it's going to require them to have very strong starts at the in the first quarter, and especially coming out at halftime, have very strong starts. Boston, this particular postseason has been very strong coming out the gate in the third quarter, putting a lot of pressure on teams, trying to get them up out of there. I think if Dallas is able to force this series, if it's not a blowout, if they're able to force this into a back and forth kind of a game where the guys are not running up and down gunning, but it's a very close contentious game. I think they have the advantage when we're talking about the clutch gene. You have Luka and Kyrie, guys who know how to close out um, in strong fashion. I think if Dallas is able to kind of play that game, not get too full of themselves, not get too far behind, kind of keep pace, much like Denver did last year, where they kind of just hung out in games, and eventually just wore you down with their execution on both ends of the court. I would say this about Dallas. I have been very pleased and surprised by the level of defense that I've seen them play. They've really made a concerted effort. I'm talking about Kyrie and Luka in particular, really made a concerted effort to really put a lot more effort into that side of the ball this particular playoff run, and it is shown and how well this defense is played. I don't think Boston's going to be able to just jack up threes and thinking that's going to get it done against this model of the Dallas Mavericks. This is not the Dallas Mavericks from the past couple of years. If you've been watching, you understand what I'm talking about when I say that this defense, they're moving a lot. They're very active with their hands. They're putting a lot of pressure on guys and forcing guys to settle for jump shots. And we know with Boston, when they get in trouble, they fall in love with the three, to get the jacking up threes, get the jacking up long jump shots, not really attacking the paint. And I think that will work in favor of Dallas and their defense. Now, to Gator Girls, previous question in the chat, who has the coaching advantage? Well, first of all, congratulations to this. I want to say this is the third time that you've had two black coaches coaching in the NBA finals. So, kudos to Jason Kidd and Missoula for, getting here. But if I had to go, who has the coaching advantage? I'm going to say Jason Kidd. And I'm going to say Jason Kidd for several reasons. One, he's played in the NBA finals, sometimes in losing efforts. I'm looking at when he was playing with the Nets, and sometimes in winning efforts when we're talking about playing for the Dallas Mavericks. Was it 13 years ago? But I think Jason Kidd has more coaching experience, and I think that's going to play a role. And when we're talking about making adjustments, understanding how the flow of the game is going, he's been here. Usually game one is more of a settle down type game. This is not where you think, oh man, the season is over if you lose. I think Dallas is looking at it like, if we can get one on the road, we've accomplished something. I think Jason Kidd is going to instill that mindset in them. Plus, you have veteran players who have been successful on this level. I'm looking at you, Kyrie, have been successful on this level as far as, understanding what the finals are about. Yes, Boston has been there more recently, but it's different from, having the experience of being there than having the experience of going there and knowing what it takes to win a championship. So I think Jason Kidd has the advantage in regards to coaching. I don't think it's that great of a gap. I think Missoula has done a very good job this year. I think they've gotten back to some of the defensive identity that they had in previous years. Under Ime Udoka. But I think if I had to go, give a check mark to either side, I'm going Jason Kidd just off the simple fact, the experience counts in these moments when we're talking about, like, this is the NBA finals. This is, some players get rattled. Some players put too much pressure on themselves. And sometimes you need a good coach to be able to settle down a player, settle down a team, and get them back into the right mindset, and understanding what got you here will be enough to take you over the top. If you're playing your game the right way. And I think Jason Kidd right now has the edge in regards to coaching. Light-skinned brothers. Yeah, Gator Girl, light-skinned brothers. I wasn't even thinking about Missoula being a brother. I'm going to be honest with you until I saw the graphic on that. But yeah, the final start on Thursday. I'm going to give you my prediction right now. Based off how Both of these teams have gotten here based on the kind of seasons that they have, but more or less how they've kind of looked in these playoffs. I got Dallas in 6. I got Dallas in 6, and the reason why I got Dallas in 6, I think Dallas others are going to play better than Boston's others. I think Porzingis is going to have too much pressure on him to come back and play at the level that he was playing at. I think Drew Holiday is going to have his hands full guarding Luka or Kyrie. Granted, he is a great defensive guard, but you're talking about two very different type of players when you're having to guard Luka. You know, just all the moves, the hesitations, the stop and goes, all of the step backs. His game is a lot at a slower pace than when you're guarding Kyrie, because Kyrie is quicker with the handles, quicker with the moves, the pull ups. All it is too. That's a lot to ask for Drew Holiday to effectively hold both of them in check. And I think the stage has been set based on how Dallas. Yeah, get it, girl. I got Dallas in 6. I got Dallas in 6. I got Jaylen Brown. I think he's going to have a fantastic series. Jason Tatum is, he's kind of a question mark. He's kind of a question mark because all the questions coming into the series. Like, listen, none of the pressure is on Dallas. Most pundits, most analysts will be picking the Boston Celtics to win, but it's really no pressure on Dallas if even if Dallas gets swept. It's no one's going to look at, oh man, they failed, and it's the pressure is all on Boston. Boston has all of Gator girl. I'm just saying, you know me and my picks, but I got Dallas in 6. I got Dallas in 6. Boston to me hasn't shown me that they are playing right now at a championship level. I think you just been very fortunate with some of the breaks that you had. And when I look back at that Pacers series, had the Pacers not been so sloppy with the ball, and we can't say, oh man, it was great Boston defense. No, they was sloppy with the ball. Pacers was up 3 games in that series in the fourth quarter. Who did you pick before the season started? I had Boston. I had Boston before the season started. If I remember correctly, Gator, I had Boston before the season started, but no, I might have had Boston. I got to go back and check. I think I had Boston, but I'm just looking at the here and now. I think the Pacers, the Pacers series really showed me a lot about where Boston is at as far as that championship mode kind of mindset. Like the Pacers was up three times, 3 times in that series. Yeah, they ended up getting swept on out of it, but still they was up games 1, they was up in games 3, and they was up in game 4. And you're talking about a Pacers team that was sloppy. I wouldn't even call it like great Boston defense. If you watch the games, you know what I'm talking about. It was sloppy play, because you saw a lot of that sloppy play in the Knicks series that never should have went 7. With the amount of injuries that New York had. I just don't think Boston has played, to me, killer type basketball. And I look at the most recent example. What have you done for me lately? I look at Game 5, Dallas against Minnesota. How they came out with a mindset. We lost Game 4, and we're gonna come out here and put these boys away early. We're gonna put them away early, and we not letting up off the gas on them. And that's like, for me, that kind of sticks out. That's that killer mentality of a team to say, hey, we're not letting you back in the series. We're not playing them type games. When we have the chance to put a team away, we take care of business. I look at how they did Oklahoma. I'm just saying Dallas has had a more impressive run to this final, and I think Dallas is playing the right kind of ball. I think Luka averages 30. I think Luka he'll probably average a triple-double this series. But I look at Kyrie. If you don't think Kyrie wants a bit of revenge on Boston, and he's going to be more laser focused than usual, you smoking dope. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah, I mean Celtics, like when you look at they're built for the championship. They're built for the championship. I mean, but based off what I've seen, like you haven't really been tested. You haven't really been pushed like that. And I think a Pacers team, well, maybe um with a little bit more care for the ball, we're talking about a completely different series. I think Boston still wins that series, but we're talking about a completely different series. But don't forget, Pacers was up. You think Boston is six? I mean, I'm not mad with that Gator girl. I'm not mad if you go with Boston and say, I mean, on paper they have the better roster, but I'm just looking at how teams are playing right now. Dallas to me looks like get it. I think Dallas steals one up in Boston. Um, I think Dallas steals one up in Boston. Whole serve at home. You know, Boston. Gets game 5 and Mavs close it out in 6. I'm just saying. But anyway, let me get my behind up out of here. Appreciate it. Like I said, it may or may not be a show on Thursday. Stay tuned for that because, like I said, NBA Finals are starting. I really want to enjoy that. We'll be starting to roll out with the NFL content. Um, for the people. I know some of you non-basketball people like, yay, the season is over. Make sure y'all tune in for Friday's show. Where we'll be taking a real in-depth look at the whole WNBA situation that is kind of blown up again. And we're going to revisit that and take another look at it in regards to Freestyle Friday show. So, make sure, Lord willing, I'll be able to make that show. But other than that, let me get my behind up out of here. Y'all know the phrase that pays over here. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.